Let me begin by saying hello, everyone, and welcome to EB Speaks. My name is Ibinabo Enebi, and welcome to the month of March. Ernest Yeboah says, only those with tenacity, can march forward in March. So as we all know, March is a month dedicated to women. In March, we'll celebrate the International Women's Day and Mother's Day, depending on what part of the continent you're in. Like for me in Ireland and in the United Kingdom, we celebrate Mother's Day on March. So it is for this reason why I have dedicated this month to women. And the theme for the month of March is self-empowerment. And the aim of this series is to help you to rediscover yourself as a woman so that you can gain the freedom to live your best life. Now, if you're feeling stuck, if you feel that you're stuck in a rut, if you feel you're lost and you're hoping to start something, or take charge of your life, then I don't want you to miss this episode because I have, we're going to talk about several topics. We're going to talk about finances. We're going to talk about even just coping with the loss of a child, because I know that it's a topic that a lot of women don't talk about. So I'll have somebody talk about that. And I'm also going to talk about adding some zoom in your vavavoom. And it's going to be very interesting. So the topic for today is woman, you are worth it. And before we delve into that conversation, I want to thank everyone who's here today. I want to thank my subscribers. I want to thank my viewers. I want to thank my first-time viewers. I'm appreciative that you're here, and you can be a part. As a matter of fact, I want you to be a part of this conversation by asking questions, by leaving your comments and your contributions. And listen, when you hear the discussant say something and you want to ask questions or you want to comment, please feel free to leave your comments in the comment box below. If you're watching via Zoom, and if you're watching via YouTube, in the comment section as well. And if you have a private question and you don't want to leave it in the open, you can just send me a private question just there, and in the Zoom chat, and I would answer it and I would read it out. So, and if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's Ibinabo Enebi. So this is the first installment of the self-empowerment series, and the title, as I said, is You're Worth It. And I have a group of discussants. And today's episode, or today's format, is that we're just going to be girls or women that just want to pour ourselves out and just have a conversation. And my first guest is Fumi Ajayi. She's an innovative and result-driven business executive. She's a consummate banker and policymaker with 28 years experience. In addition, she's held the position of special advisor to the governor of Ogun State from 2011 to 2019. Presently, she's the lead team and executive founder of a micro lending company that focuses on financial inclusion for marginalized women traders. My next guest is Folake Oluwole, FO. She's known as FO professionally. She's a certified ICF coach whose field of interest is working with women who are seeking work-life balance, changing careers, or establishing a business. So if you fall into that category, FO is here to help you. And then my third speaker, or my third guest, is Tonye Porbeni Adenusi. She's an author, she's a storyteller. She uses her art as an avenue for fun and to talk about those sometimes uncomfortable conversations. She's the author of the novel Karina. And my final guest, the last but not the least, is Folake Abiodun. She is a legal practitioner, a consummate barman. She's the managing partner of Emmanuel Abiodun and Co. She's a litigator, an arbitrator, and mediator. She's a former national officer of the MBA, the Nigerian Bar Association, and a member of FIDA. And I just want to say thank you so much, everyone, for joining me. So girls, and thank you, girls, my panelists, my discussants. Thank you very much for joining me today. Are you good?
Yes, good. Thank you very much.
Yeah. And so in a few days, we are going to be celebrating International Women's Day and then Mother's Day. And as usual, we're going to have topping the headlines women who have, achieved so much in life. And we're going to be parading the best, in our field. But the reason why I decided to do this particular episode of Self-Worth is because I know that as women, a lot of us have been through hell and high waters. We've experienced so much. And so some of us, would fall through the cracks because our personal experiences may not be chronicled or championed as being an achievement. So that is why I want us to have this conversation. Are we cool?
Yes. Yes, we are.
Very good.
Yes,
Now,
we are.
yeah. So let me start by asking you all of us this question. As women, what does success mean to you, or as a woman?
It's a good question, and one that I don't ask myself at all. I just think that when I'm successful, I'll know it, because at the back of my mind somewhere there are some constructs where I think success looks like, financial abundance, or, having a large house and living my best life and whatever else. But actually, for me, success is living out my purpose and living out my dream and being a person that is relevant to society. That's what success is for me, I think.
Living out my purpose and my dream. And what about you? And what about you, Falake?
For me, I think success is achieving what you want to achieve by yourself and for yourself.
Okay.
So for me, it will have an inclusion of fulfillment.
Perfect. And Ethel?
Yes. First, I would like to see success as a journey. It's a journey, and success for me, just like Tonya said, honestly, it's when you discover your purpose. That is the journey and the beginning to living a successful life. So when you discover your purpose and when you start living your purpose, when you embark on that purposeful journey, then you are on the right track to success. That's the way I say it.
Fumi?
Okay, yeah. Well, what is success? To me, success is when you achieve your goals, your life ambition, and you see yourself in a place where you've always wanted to be. That means you're a successful person. That's what I see success to be.
So from my understanding, from what everyone has said, it appears to me that success is personal.
Yeah, I would
so
say that.
It is.
Yeah, I would say yes.
Yes,
yeah?
it is.
We're supposed to have a conversation. Yeah, so success is personal. It's not. It's your journey, and having to arrive in the destination that you so desire to arrive for yourself.
Yes, success it's customized by you for you. Okay, so it's not what the society or what somebody else thinks of you or where you should be. It's sort of, you can say yes, it's sort of personal. Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes, I agree that success is personal, because if you want to be successful in life, you're the ones that have your goals set out for you from day one. You know what you want to do. You know how you want to go about it. Yes, you can say some other people's goals, you can assist, but you might think the person is successful, but the person personally might not think he's achieved any success out of what you feel they've done. So that's why I would say it's personal.
Yeah, I mean, the theme for this year's IWD is breaking the bias.
Yeah.
A lot of us find, a lot of us are biased towards or against ourselves because we measure our success by other people's standards. You know, we're thinking, oh, that person looks successful, and so if I'm like that, then I'll be successful. You know, so we're not even waiting for other people to be biased against us. We ourselves are biased against ourselves, and we stand as our own blockers. But it's absolutely an individual journey, and overcoming what's the word I'm looking for? Overcoming whatever hurdles life has thrown your way, whatever issues you may have, you know, and other people's biases as well, and continuing to move forward one step at a time. For me, that looks like success.
Fantastic, Tony. I mean, you're getting close to the meat of the matter. And I think that I agree, because when you all were right, you were saying what success meant to you. I was writing everything down. And, you know, and I just want to be open and show this open. You know, for a very long time, I had an issue with what success meant to me. I felt that, or not even felt, I was lost in the translations of the roles that I played and the duties that I performed. You know, so for a long time, I was miserable. And although people, you know, from the outside were looking in, thought that, oh my gosh, but I mean, she has everything that she wants. She has children. She's da 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 da. Within, I didn't feel that I was successful, because I had goals that I had set that by the time I'm 40, I should be doing this. By the time that I'm 50, I should be doing this. I felt sad and miserable that I hadn't, you know, gotten to that point where I could measure up in my mind to the successes of other people. And so, Tonya, I think you're very right in saying that sometimes that we are the biases. We kind of like measure our successes around what other people have done, and then we keep ourselves miserable when we don't you know, measure up to what we think the success is. Now, I can see, for example, Antonia, you touched on it in a few minutes, I mean, a while ago. And so we all appear to look successful now, because right now I'm sitting down here, I'm doing EB Speaks, I have my blog, and you know, and Tonya, you're an author, FO is a coach, is a career coach, and Folake is a lawyer, and Fumi has had 28 years of, you know, banking experience and all of that. But it wasn't always a smooth sailing ride for you, was it? Was there any difficulties that you've encountered to get to the point where you are today?
It wasn't a very easy journey, but I would say with determination, passion, with unbiased mind, taking it from where Toyin left it off, I was able to achieve a lot. Managing home, managing career, and managing lifestyle. And I would say I got married like 5 years after I started banking. So I wasn't a middle management staff or middle executive staff. I was more or less like I would say maybe I've gotten maybe 1 or 2 promotions as at the time I got married. So I was at the peak of when I have to be a performer at my place of work to show that I have to achieve so much. So having to get into a marriage, and I had my first child like a year after I got married. So I had a baby to manage. I had a career to manage. I was in operations, which meant I was in the core of the banking industry. I was at the forefront. I was a head teller. I had to hold the key to my vault. I remember having my first child on my way to work. I went into labor on my way to work with the key to the
What?
vault, with the key to the vault with me. And my husband was like, no, I have to take you to the hospital. We didn't sleep all night and you feel that you're fine this morning. I'm not going to take that for you. I said, well, I need to go and open the vault. I said, well, if they need their key, they will come and take it from you if you have to be in the hospital. And we stopped by. I said, okay, I'll stop by, let them just check me. And it got in, and the first doctor said, wow, you can't go anywhere. And I was in pain, but I was pretending because I felt, my God, my job is on the line. I can't give the key to the vault to anybody. It's a dual custodian process. So I can't, it's not possible for me to have my key given to somebody else. And at that point, it was a decision of, is it your child, is it your health, or your work? So I had to call my manager, and my husband had to explain to him that, see, Fumi has got into labor. The key to the vault is right with her. What do we do? Can I bring it over, or you're going to come over, or you're going to send somebody? She's saying she cannot release the key to me. At that point, the manager of my branch had to come and collect the key to the vault. So that's one experience I had as a career woman, the decision I had to take. So it wasn't a journey that was very easy. Bringing the kids up as well, having to manage coming back home late, dropping them off in school, sitting with them to do homework. It was not easy. And in those days, we didn't have GSM. We didn't have video, we didn't have Zoom, we didn't have anything. So you can imagine the kind of lifestyle you had to live. You had to manage how to keep both the home, the career, and the lifestyle. So it wasn't an easy journey, but I can tell you that at the end of the day, with my 3 children, I had 3 eventually, I got to the peak of my career without any stress.
We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that later. We're going to talk about how you did it so that women who are listening today can learn from you. And Falake, would you want to share, was it always very easy for you?
Well, I had my bit of challenge. My lemon tossed at me very early. It was towards the end of my school year when I had a child. I got pregnant. I didn't know. I had gone in 6 months without knowing I was pregnant. So I had an extra year when I had the child. And when my parents found out that I was pregnant, my mom lost it. She nearly went mad. She nearly went berserk off. It just took the intervention of doctors. That was when I knew that if you really don't want people to go off, you give them a quick shot of Lagatio and they can stay sane. So there I was. They had to manage me, having known the type of child I was. I must say at this point that I had a very, very supportive father. My father told my mom, we must keep it away from her that she's pregnant. If not, she would tell you that she's going to end everything or she's going to do something unbecoming. So it was a game of she's pregnant, she's not pregnant. Today, my mom is angry. Silly child, you're pregnant, you don't know, And amongst my friends and colleagues in school, they knew that I was pregnant. And I was the only one who thought, and then I would say, didn't know that I was pregnant. So it wasn't a smooth journey at all. My parents at that point in time got all sorts of advice from varying people. Some friends and family came around and said, ask her to stop this thing called law. She's lost that opportunity. Let her stay back and take care of the child. Some even after I had the child, some people came up and said, let her give up the child and leave the country and get out of the country. That was the much that they thought, the society thought that I had disappointed my parents. But you see, like I said, I must acknowledge my late dad now. He was quite supportive. The man sat me down and said, "What do you want to do?" And I told him, "I want to continue. I want to finish this law." I made up my mind to be a lawyer all by myself. Although there's a twist to that. I originally wanted to be a pilot. And my mom, being an African woman, expressed to my dad and said, as far as I'm concerned, she just wants to be a taxi driver because she's supposed to pick up and drop off. I don't care if it's in the air or on the sea. To her, at that time, a pilot was next to a taxi driver or was just a taxi driver. So having expressed that to my dad, he then thought to say, how can I change this girl's mind? And he did without speaking a word to me. He only just took me to court once or twice. And I came across a woman today called Folake Sholanke, who happens to be my godmother. I saw her in action in court on that day, and that was how come I made up my mind to be a lawyer. So I told my dad at that discussion point that I chose to be a lawyer. You didn't decide for me, not knowing that he was instrumental to the decision. And he said, okay. He calls me Omo. He says, Omo, we will do it. And from that point on, the strength to go ahead came on. And I finished, went on to law school, and then graduated. And he kept saying, you said you can do it. You can still do more. You can still do more. He was that beacon of encouragement for me. And lo and behold, till he passed, or until he passed, he was that big hand holding me every step of the way.
Wow. I want us to clap.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Folake, I just want to say that, you know what, girl? First and foremost, I'm proud of you.
Thank you
and
very
I'm
much.
proud of your father and your mother.
Thank you very much.
I'm proud of the determination that you had to continue, because a lot of times, a lot of girls
get discouraged,
have experienced that kind of thing and got discouraged. But you didn't fall through the cracks.
No, it was
so
just
congratulations.
by the help of that. Thank you so much.
Next, I want to ask Tonya. Tonya, do you have any challenges that you had to overcome?
Well, a few, maybe one or two. It wasn't terrible. In my day life, or my day job, I'm a risk manager. I'm married to a risk manager. We have 4 kids. You know, life on the surface looks nice and easy and straightforward. I decided I wanted to write a book because I've always, dabbled. I've always written something or the other. I love telling stories. But a few years ago, I lost a baby, and I'd had a really difficult time recovering mentally from that place. And so I was seeing a therapist. And in the course of my sessions with him, we started to uncover other things that, were in my past. And there were many things I didn't remember, but I could see, and he could see, and we all could see that they were affecting my day-to-day life. As I was just in this deep, dark depression, I could not get out of it. So he said to me, why don't you take the thing you love to do best and use it to your advantage? Why don't you write the end of the story that you want for yourself? So write yourself a story that looks happy to you, that looks fulfilling, that looks successful to you, incidentally. And and see where that takes us. You know, and I started to do that, and it was so cathartic. It was so therapeutic. You know, when I was done writing my end, I thought, you know what, this is really good. I'm gonna take a little bit of that experience and a lot of everyone else's experience that I talked to and write a book. And the reason I did that was to, you know, I wanted to talk to my daughters. I wanted to tell them that you're enough. You don't have to wait for somebody to tell you that you're enough. You don't have to wait for somebody to determine what good looks like. God is the one who determines what good looks like. You know, and, you know, for like, just listening to you talk about your dad, I can tell just how protected you felt by him, you know, and every girl needs that. And sometimes, you know, our dads are not there to do that for us. My dad, for instance, constantly says something, you know, I'm your dad from cradle to grave, from your cradle to my grave. I'm here to do this with you, you know. And I wanted my daughters to feel that sense of strength and the knowledge that perfection is nothing. That's for God alone. You know, for us, it is an abstract construct. We are all flawed. We're all imperfect, perfect in God's eyes. And, you know, so yes, I was meant to start talk about my journey, wasn't I? And I've ended up preaching. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to preach.
It's okay. It's your story.
Yeah, I'm done. Yeah, that was it. I mean, writing was hard. It was hard. It was hard to relive my experiences and relive other people's experiences. But at the end of the day, it helped to bring me freedom, and it helped to bring many other people freedom from what I've heard them tell me. So, yeah.
Fantastic. And I like the way you said that you were in a dark place and you wrote the end. You wrote the end of the story. You wrote what you wanted to be the end of your story, irrespective of what it is that you may have gone through. Thank you very much for sharing that. I mean, and another hero here. Efo, you and I have been friends since you were on EB Speaks. This is your second time on EB Speaks. You and I have been friends since 19 Abraham. And I know how you and I were like trying to find ourselves in the journey of life. How did you become Efo?
You know, earlier on when you asked us what success was, you know, Efo is my coaching brand and Efo is my purpose. And the day I discovered my purpose was the beginning of Efo. Efo is who I want to become. And my purpose is very simple. My purpose is shedding light, you know, into a seemingly dark space, situation, thought, through my coaching conversations, through what I share, through my speaking engagements, and to make somewhat sweet a bitter thought, a bitter space, a bitter situation, a bitter mind. So, how did Efo begin? You know, I found out that people are just drawn to me, you know, in the office. It started in the office, even in the family setting, when you bring it home, the social setting, people are just drawn to me. They open up to me, they talk to me, and I kept wondering what this was, you know. Why? I asked a couple of people and they said, you don't judge, you listen. And I was like, wow, I do. They say I just listen. I listen very well and I don't judge, you know, and I just have a way of making people feel better. So that's how I stumbled on coaching. So Efo started 2008. And in 2009, I joined ICF, International Coaching Federation. Anyway, challenges, oh yes, definitely. Definitely. Where do I start? Where do I start from? I remember myself and my husband, we planned to have 2 kids. We have 4 wonderful children. I was 6 months pregnant when I got married, you know. And then I remember when I got pregnant with my 4th child. Oh my God, I thought I was okay. I had 3 children. Thank God I started very early. I have 3. I can now settle down. I just started work with First Bank. I just started work and I wasn't even confirmed. Here I was pregnant before confirmation in the bank, First Bank. Ha! And my pregnancy is always very obvious. Let me just put it that way. Very obvious. I'll save you the other details. I throw up from the beginning to the end. I salivate a lot. I'm extremely irritable. I'm just sick, you know. I thought it was the first. Then they said, oh, because the first is a boy. Oh, it's a girl, it's a boy. But throughout my pregnancy, I was like, so it was very obvious. It was very obvious. But thank God for good support. Honestly speaking, my husband, very supportive. And then my colleagues, I remember because I was the only woman amongst a team of men, and they were quite supportive. Even with my irritable habits, they were very supportive. They were very supportive. Even some of them were not even married. And the married ones, they were not having, I mean, they hadn't started the family way. So they were very supportive. My husband was supportive, my mom, my sisters, you know, my parents generally, my dad was still alive then anyway. And then I was just so, I tried to channel the frustration positively, you know, try to channel it positively. And that is my message. That is my message. It is okay for you to feel low. It is okay for you to feel frustrated. It is okay for you to go through what you call the imposter syndrome. A lot of career women, especially career people, men, women, they go through it. It's okay for you to go through those low moments, but it is not okay. It is absolutely not okay for you to stay in that space. So you must channel all that frustration positively, okay? And that's what I do. And how do I do it? Look, up to now, I love classic music. I love the oldies. I listen to oldies. And then then there wasn't anything, we were not this technologically advanced. We hardly had phones. It's only those that could afford it that had phones, even though that was the beginning of what they call it, this private network era. But what I did was just to, I try to listen to inspirational messages. I go to church, but it's not as if the fact that I'm there, you know, at least I try to surround myself with a lot of positivity and inspiration. And honestly, that's what kept me going. And I also do something. It might sound cliche, but I count my blessings. I'm like, okay, I have these children who I did not ask for. That means that, and we say children are blessings from God. So that means that God has counted me so worthy to bless me with his creatives. You know, so many things. I look at my family, I look at myself, I'm healthy. I just try to, you know, make cocktails out of the lemons that might have been thrown my way. So
fantastic.
Let me stop there.
Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. You see, you know, the reason why I wanted to have this conversation with you girls was because I know that we go through a lot, that a lot of women go through a lot. Because we women play a strategic role in society and in our families, that somehow there is the burden on us, you know, because once a woman is broken, then the society is broken, the family is broken, and everything is broken. Of course, we talk about the self-imposter syndrome, where, or in the case, the Garden of Eden, where the devil came, and because he knew the kind of role that a woman was going to play, he kind of like tried to mess her up and then messed up humanity. Now, thank you all very much for sharing your story, but then I want to go to the solutions. There are certain strategic things that you had to do. There was some kind of a mindset that you had that enabled you to survive or to succeed, to become who and what you are today. So assuming there's a young girl listening to us, I want you to give us the practical steps. And I know that Tonya touched on it a bit and Efo touched on it a bit, but then what kind of mindset did you have, Fumi, to overcome or to survive or to become the successful woman that you are today?
Okay. I'll start by saying I grew up in a very large family. We're 8, and plus my parents making 10, plus several uncles, aunties, several helps, people that have come to live with you. At times I'll count like 20, 25 people living in my house. My mother had 8 of us, 6 boys, 2 girls. So you can imagine growing up with men, what it meant. And I grew up with the men being the second to the last. I was number 7. And they used to call me a bully because I never allowed them to get away with anything. I would always find a way to find my way amongst them. I would never be pushed aside. Even my older sister too was the same thing. So I think that had like prepped me a bit, I would say. It helped me. And then when you love something and you want the best in what you're doing, you would always find a way around it. Always find a way around it. You would always. I'll tell you that bringing my children up, when I eventually got to top management level in the bank, it got to a point that I was reporting to the group office, which was in Togo. My bank was an African bank. And at times I'll get to the office and I'll be told that I have to be in Ghana the next morning, or even that same day. I get to there and I said, oh, there's a meeting in Ghana. And the next thing you're going, or there's a meeting in Cotonou, you're going. There's a meeting in one of the African countries and you'd have to go. So one thing I eventually did was I had to create that time for my children. And what I did was, for every time I'm around, I make sure I take them to school in the morning. I would always make sure I take them to school in the morning, so that in the car, we're busy revising what they've done in school. They will tell me what has happened to them in school the day before, because most of the time, by the time I get home, they would have gone to bed. Their bedtime was 9 o'clock, and I would get home about that 9:30, 10 o'clock, island to the mainland, traffic and all that. So by the time I'm getting home, they're either sleeping or about to sleep. So we cannot really do anything. So I'll make sure I take them to school in the morning, because that is bonding time for us.
Okay.
Bonding time. They'll be able to tell me, I'd ask questions, oh, what happened to you? What did your friend do? Oh, that your friend, what happened to her? You know, with that, you get to understand a lot of things happening to your children. And if I can, 5 days a week, maybe twice a week, I'll pick them up from school to drop them back at home as well. So in that process as well, I get to understand what they're going through. I get to know what is happening to them. And another thing I don't miss their open days. I would always make sure I try so hard to attend it. If I know the open day is going to fall to a period when I won't be around, I would go and tell the teacher or the head of the school and have an opportunity to do mine either before or after. Funny enough, my husband is now a politician who is doing politics outside Lagos. So he too I would call him either a weekend daddy or sometime during the week, he would find his way to come. At times the kids, he would get to Lagos by midnight or 1 a.m. The kids are already sleeping, but they wake up in the morning and they see their dad. So that alone was something that actually kept them going. So it's in making your marriage, your career, your lifestyle work together. you have to manage and plan yourself. So I would say planning with determination.
Okay.
Planning with determination, because you can plan. And if you're not determined to make it work, it will never work. It will never work. I had an MD when I was in the bank that would tell you anything between 4 and 5:30, she's not available. What does she do? She always goes home to have lunch with her children between those times. The kids will be back from school. She would have lunch with them, settle them in, and come back to work. That as well gave me that insight to, well, if my MD can be doing that, I'm just still here. I've not become an MD. I must create that time. So there's nothing that could make you believe that I'm too busy, I cannot have time for my children. I'm too busy, I cannot have time for my husband. Saturdays, Sundays, at times we go to work, but you find a way to manage it. I used to take my kids to work on weekends. I'll tell them, well, you can sit in my office when I'm doing my meeting, maybe a training or something. I'll keep them in my office. At least we took a drive to the office together. They're in my office, they're in my environment. I might not be with them, but they're in my environment. And that alone will psychologically give them that comfort. Well, my mom is around. I'm with my mom. So I would call it determination with planning. That's what it is. So I think I'll stop there now.
Okay, thank you very much, Fumi. I just learned here, creating time. You consciously and deliberately made out time. You planned and you were determined. That's very good. And Toya, do you have any contributions? What mindset did you have?
So there's a saying, a quote by, this I'm going to disgrace myself, I remember his name, Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King, it was, who said, in the pursuit of our goals, we will, I believe it goes, we will run. And if we cannot run, then we will walk. And if we cannot walk, then we will crawl. But by all means and at all costs, we'll keep moving.
Yeah.
That is my mindset. Because I don't always get it right. I cannot plan. I plan about planning, but executing my plans, I tend to fall flat on my face a lot of the time. But the desire to keep going means that, I consider those downtimes, I'm not taking a break. All right, get up now and keep moving. And then the other thing is that I've tried to surround myself with people who are objective, who are wise, and who are strong, and whom I can talk to. In the multitude of counsel, there is wisdom, so sometimes I'm talking to my mom, sometimes I'm talking to my sisters. I have an amazing family, right? They're really strong women and one man, and I have an open relationship with my husband. So I surround myself with people with whom I discuss things, mentors at work, so that whatever the situation is, I've got someone to go to have a conversation about what I need if I need it. But in the long run, I think, without belaboring the point, my key thing is I've just got to keep going.
I'm just taking notes. Like I do that all the time because it's like I'm in school here. Toya, you know what you said that just touched me, and you touched on our humanity as well. And I'm sure that a lot of us also have that situation where you make plans about making plans, and then you fall short. But I think that the beauty of why you are a writer and why you are doing all the amazing things that you do is that in spite of the fact that you fall flat on your face, by all means, if you couldn't fly or run or jump, you crawled. And you got there crawling. So and another thing that I find very important is what my friend and my brother, Dr. Abiy Hector Goma, says is you have a net that works, a network. And you have a network of people, a strong support structure that that is supportive of you. And you mentioned your family, but assuming you have a family that is not very supportive, then what do you do?
If your family is not very supportive, then, you know, God is gracious. There are other human beings on earth, you know, and you make your family from, if not those who are related to you, you make your family by gathering them. I was talking to my boss a couple of days ago at work, and I said to her, I found that it's really important to teach my managers how to manage me, because I need them to be part of my network, because I need them to support me when things go wrong at work. So you find people, you find your people, you know, some people call them your tribe. You just need to find them, and you have them, and you keep them in your corner. You know, that's what I think.
So I mean, make your family by gathering them. That's the writer and the storyteller in you. I mean, it's such an amazing, because, you know, Fumi said something about having a very strong support structure. You know, she has a very strong support structure. She has family, and you talked about your family. And then I'm like, what if somebody doesn't have that kind of strong support structure that you have? And then you have said that you make your family, gather your people and make them your family. And Falake?
So can I just say something? Falake, forgive me for jumping in ahead of
It's
you
all
just
right.
there. There's another thing I think is really powerful. It's not being afraid to be vulnerable. Because sometimes there are certain types of us women who think, you know what, my MO is to be strong, and I don't want anyone to think of me as vulnerable. I'm guilty of that. So we don't want to tell the truth about where we are. I'm not saying, you know, tell your business to everybody, but it's okay to be vulnerable to that one person that you trust, that set of 3 people that you trust, whom you can talk to.
Falake?
Yes, please.
Yeah. What mindset did you have to overcome?
Right from a very tender age, successful people were flaunted in my face. So you see, it takes us back to how we started, success. That was my driving force. That was the reason why I told myself, I can't back out from law. I've got to achieve it and become a success. Even though I had slept, I got up and got going. So I'd like to make an allusion to what Fumi said, where she said, when she made mention of her family. You see, inadvertently, our mindsets are built from our experiences in the family and the kind of exposures that we have from a very tender age. Like I said, successful people were flaunted in my face growing up. I had the likes of Supreme Court justices, Court of Appeal justices, High Court judges, senior advocates of Nigeria, people from all walks of life, trooping in to see my dad. And there were people of that we considered successful as at then. So from a very tender age, success had been like a goal for me. So my mindset, what kept me going was success. How do I get it? How do I achieve it? And I knew that backing out on my dream wasn't an option for me. That's it.
Well, backing out on your dream wasn't an option for you. Before I go to FO, I want to ask this question to all of us women. Assuming you're a girl is listening to us today, and I think that goes to not the girl now, as a parent is listening to us today, and based from your own experience, and if you had a child, for example, that slipped, or that life dealt a bad blow, or had to make a decision that you found, or made a mistake or something like that, what would you say to that parent, and how best can that parent handle that child, especially if the child is a girl?
Thank you very much. Let me give you another example or an experience I had recently. My daughter attended the University of Ilorin. One of her classmates got pregnant whilst in school, and her option was to flee the country. And my daughter says, my mom had me out of wedlock. Let's speak to her. Let's see what she could do. So she brought her home, and I came to Lagos, traced the woman in Balogun Market, and I got into her shop. Yes, traced the girl's mother. And I got into her shop, and I started to bargain for a material. And she saw that I was overtly friendly with her. I waited with her till the close of business. And she says, in the course of all of that, we had spoken about children, spoken about life, which was how I thought to break the ice. I had never met her. That first day was my first time of ever setting my eyes on her. I broke the ice eventually, and I said to her, in the course of our discussion, I had given her my own story. So whilst we got into the car, I told her this had happened to her child. So she says, from all you've told me, just please help me encourage her to come home. I said, well, I might not be able to bring her home now, but would you permit me to have her with me for a while? And then I can bring her home to you when she's comfortable and she's sure that all the rage and tension would have gone down. And she says, okay, I should help her handle it. And 3 months after, we went back to her house. And the mother was quite kind and gentle with her. I had continued to talk to her. She's in a delicate situation. She knows she's pregnant. She needs all your support. That goes back to what we said. You need that support structure. So I encouraged her to give the girl the support that she needs. She had a baby, went back to school, graduated with a 2-1. Today, she works in a beautiful multinational in Lagos, and the little girl is 5 years as we speak. So that's one of my own success stories. So, like you said, I will speak to the mother. It's not the end of the world. She needs encouragement to move ahead in life and still be that child that you can be proud of. One saying I have that I usually would tell people is that from Genesis to Revelation, there's no one that you can point to that didn't have a challenge. And those challenges come to make us discover that we're basically human. We're only but human. We need to turn to that superpower that can help us. So that's where divinity comes in. What God do you serve? That's when you have to turn to your God for the strength to carry on. So that will be how I would approach it.
Falake, your story is so encouraging because, you know, in those days, right?
Thank you.
When a girl had a child, that was the end of her life. I remember, I don't know if you remember, there was a time in, that was this year, was it 2019? There was this prank that was going on. And daughters were calling their mothers to tell them that they were pregnant. And I was in America. I was in America in church. It was on Sunday. And my daughter calls me and told me that she was pregnant. I didn't know what to do. I saw my life flashing before my eyes. In that process, I was like a pastor's daughter. My sisters withdrew me. What will society say? What will society do? Even among my league of friends, perhaps I'll be shamed. But I took a leaf from what my father would do. And I said to her, come home. And she said, Mommy, don't worry, I'm going to abort it. I said, immediately my daughter told me that she was pregnant anyways. I had rearranged and redesigned my life. That's the English, Abby. Recalibrated my life. I was ready for her because I knew that if at all she was pregnant, that meant that she had to look after that. She had to go back to school. So I was ready as a mother to put my life on hold, or rather to take that child and to allow her to go back to school. The thing that but she was like, Mommy, no, what people say? I said, let them say anything that they like to say. It's their business. Is it their child? No, it's mine. It's your life, it's your future. And then she went back and told me, Mommy, it's just a prank. I was relieved. Because at the time when we were growing up, if a girl had a child, she was considered bad. She was considered useless. But meanwhile, a lot of other girls were pregnant and they got rid of it and nobody knew. So let me read some comments that some people that I have here. They said, wow, amazing testimonial, profound ladies. And somebody has said that she would like to have a recording of this conversation. So yes, you can check out this conversation on my YouTube channel. It's Ibinabo NAB. And I also have a website, One Womanity. As a matter of fact, Fumi has an article coming up as well. And I'm going to post it next week. I don't want to give any time, but before Friday, it's going to be up. And if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, it's Ibinabo NAB. Please, please, please subscribe. FO, the next question is for you. In your career as a woman who is interested in, whose core interest is helping women to start up businesses, what would you say is some of the recurring problems that women have, and how can they scale through them?
Okay, you know why I'm smiling, Ivy? Even though one of my areas of genuine interest is helping women to helping and supporting women to get that work-life balance. And I think I mentioned it to you the last time I was on your program. 80% to 85% of my humble clients are men. They are men. Very few women come to me. But to answer your question, first and foremost, you need to understand who you are.
Falake, Efo, I love that sass that you just did. Yes. Please do it again.
You need to understand who you are. Look at yourself in the mirror. Who am I? Who are you? Put the marriage aside, the children. Who am I? Who am I? What do I love doing? What gives me the spark? What keeps me ticking? What gives me those sparks? You need to understand yourself. And then you need to appreciate yourself. If you don't know who you are, if you cannot appreciate yourself, where the
value comes.
Then, honestly speaking, we can't even embark on this journey. Journey of purpose, journey of success, whatever you want to call it, journey of life. Who are you? What makes you you? So you need to understand yourself. You need to understand your thresholds, your highs and your lows. You need to understand and you need to identify the triggers. What triggers of the low moods? What triggers of the high moods? What can you accommodate? What can you not accommodate? And these are things that you need to start figuring out from adulthood. You need to understand yourself. And I'll use my humble self as an example. I've always been a resilient person. A resilient person. I know my low moments. I understand myself. I know where I'm going. Even as a young girl, I knew where I was going. And also, yes, also very importantly too, your background. My own, you asked a question about mindset. My mindset has always been open, credible, G factor. Open, credible, G factor. Even though I'm not from the God factor. The God factor. Look, I'm not from a religious home. I can't remember throughout my childhood till I got married. My parents, they never went to church. They never went to mosque, even though by birth we were Muslims. My father was a Muslim. My mom changed. My father never practiced Islam, but he would mark all the special days. Our christening and everything. I did IRK in school. I was the only one that did IRK in my class. Fast forward, but I knew my upbringing was open, credible, integrity in everything you do. You must be credible, integrity. And then the G factor. I discovered that myself on my own in school. The G factor. So to encapsulate that so that I don't take too much of the time. You have to understand yourself. When you understand yourself, when you know yourself, you, myself, and I. That's what you, myself, and I. You, myself, and I. You understand yourself. You understand your thresholds. You understand what triggers off the highs and the lows. And then you can now begin to discover your purpose. You cannot discover your purpose if there's no passion. I avoid the word passion because passion is a word in this part of the world that has been grossly overused, least understood. So I prefer to use the word genuinely interested. So what I ask my clients, male, female, what are you genuinely interested in? What is that thing that you would do conscientiously, wholeheartedly, without asking for a kobo? What is that thing? What is it? You need to discover that. Then you can now know, because look, whatever you are genuinely interested in, whatever comes in from inside of you, I believe is God-given. Is God deposited in you. And through that, you can fulfill your purpose. Through it, it's one of the avenues by which you can fulfill your purpose. So first of all, what is it that you like that you genuinely like doing. The fact that you studied something, that doesn't mean that that is your area of passion or purpose. Like I tell my children, especially my daughter, I said, I'm a very good cook, but I don't like cooking. It's by default. I'm a Yoruba girl, a Nigerian girl, Yoruba girl. I will not know how to cook. I must know how to cook. So it's by default. Because somebody, a friend of mine said, why don't you go into, that was a long time ago. I used to bake long time ago when I just got married. You know, that's about 28 years ago. I used to bake and take it to offices. And she said, oh, you're very good. You're very good with this content. I said, that's not what I like doing. I'm just doing that to, you know, just to be occupied. But this is not what is going to keep me engaged. So you need to discover yourself or rediscover yourself. And it's never too late. Please, ladies, it's never too late. It's never too late. It is never too late. It is never too late. Look, I mean, we are in our 50s, and I can tell you for free, I'm beginning to enjoy myself. Because this is what I've always wanted to do. You know, I might be at home, no briefs, no session, broke, but honestly, I am so happy. I'm at peace. So you have to be at peace with whatever you're doing. So what's that thing that will give you peace that surpasses human understanding? Whatever you're doing, you must be genuinely interested in it. And if it's something that you like, you know, that's what you call reskilling. Reskilling is learning a new skill. You might like fashion. You might like sewing. And, oh, I really want to have a fashion. You might be like, oh, I really want to have a fashion outfit one day. Go and learn that skill. You cannot have a fashion outfit without knowing how to cut, without knowing how to take measurements. You must learn that skill. Look, a skill is the way you do something. Skills are learned and transferred. Talents are discovered and developed. You need to discover and develop your talent so that you can convert it into meaningful and useful skill. So in a nutshell, who are you? Who are you? Who am I? What do I like? What do I want to be? What do I want to become? Or rather, what do I want to become? What makes me tick? What do I enjoy? Whether there's a pandemic, global pandemic, or whatever, whether there's war, what is that thing that will keep me going, that I'll get a lot of fulfillment in? When you discover that, then you are on your journey to success. Thank you.
Efo, you know what? You and I have also had several conversations as well about life, because there was a time when we were actually finding ourselves. What are we? What do we want to become? And what you're saying, it hits home. In the course of those times, I've experienced pain, disappointment, rejection, suffering. But when I got to 50, right, I looked back and I realized that all those experiences were what would make me become me. Because in order for me to sit down here and ask questions, I needed to learn how to empathize with people. I needed to understand what people were going through, because if I didn't have that understanding, then I couldn't do it. I couldn't be here. I couldn't write the way I would write. So what I'm going to say is, and it's also, you know, it's also part of our stories, that sometimes that the setbacks that we go through are not are actually the setup that we need to step into our purpose in life.
Exactly.
Now I have questions here, and I want to answer. I want to ask those questions, and the questions are open to all of us. Now it says here, what will you say to a woman that has put her life on hold to raise her children and is just about to start self-discovering? Now, let me just answer that. It happened to me, right? And what I'm going to say to you is that you are just starting your life. So open up yourself to the possibilities. And like Folake said, FO said, what are you passionate about? And you have raised your children. That's a very huge achievement. So now what you want to do is to transition into this living your life and discovering yourself. So what I want to say to you is, first and foremost, congratulations for that. That's a huge achievement, but now you want to do something else. So you didn't put your life on hold, actually. You've done something very great. Yeah. Does anyone have any?
I wanted to say something that, yes, it's part of the journey. It's part of the package.
Yes.
It's part of the package. It's part of the journey. And, when Fumi was talking about how she, because of course I know her very well. I mean, she spent like 20, 25 years in the banking industry. I left the banking industry after 4 years. And my regional manager, no, regional head, like the director called me. Yeah, but you're doing well. You're doing well. You're being promoted. What's wrong? Are you being harassed? And I said, no, I can't. Look, we are different. I cannot cope. I cannot cope with the banking pressure and the children. I can't cope. Some people can, but I can't cope. That is me. So I left. In fact, when I resigned, I did not tell anybody, because then now, your husband is into business. So money must be coming from somewhere, at least regular income. I did not tell anybody. My husband woke me up and I said I wasn't going to work. He said, did you tell your boss? Are you finished? I said, no, I've resigned. Hey! And I left. Oh, yeah.
But that's you. That's what you can't do.
I left. So my dear sister who asked that question is part of the package. And it's part of knowing yourself. Like I said, knowing your threshold, knowing what you can accommodate, knowing what you can cope with. Okay? Not what the society expects from you.
Fantastic.
So, just to add to that, I always tell people that say they were homekeeper or managing their children, they couldn't cope with doing that. I remember when Folake left the banking industry, FO, and I asked and said, well, for me, I've left you guys. You guys should be managing it. I can't do it anymore. A lot of people had to do that because they couldn't cope. And if you actually stayed back home to look after your children, I think is a big achievement. And it's always one thing that I tell people, that they even do more work than those of us that were even trying to manage both together, because managing a home 100% means a lot of people that did that either did not have housekeepers, did not have housemaids, they didn't have drivers, they didn't have anything. So they were everything. The person will be a wife, a mother, a driver, a cleaner, a housekeeper, a cook. So I don't always like people saying to themselves that, I'm a housewife.
Don't say that to yourself again. It's annoying.
It's annoying. So I always want them to look at themselves as keeping my home is an achievement. I am a winner. I'm a success. I've done something great.
Yeah.
So it's not an easy task. And I say something. I was discussing with the IB last week, and we were talking about how we women don't even encourage ourselves and support ourselves. Men do that a lot. They do that a lot. A woman will be successful, but will never want to tell the second person how she's done it, how it's been done, how it's going to be done. But we need to always speak. What I'm into right now is something that's out of passion for my banking career, from my being into politics as a technocrat. I learned the fact that a lot of women are ready to do business, but they're not financially capable to do it. They don't have the financial capacity. So they need support. They need something that would give them that financial independence. I'm not advocating for a woman to fight her husband or anything, but a woman that is financially stable is a strong pillar to her man, is a stronghold to her children. Because at the end of the day, what you can do with the little you have is much more important than what the man would do with millions of naira.
Yes.
So a man that would stand and say, my wife cannot walk, or my wife should be a housewife. I always tell them, if your husband says to you, you should be a housewife, tell him I'll gladly be a housewife because I'm going to get paid with the success of my children. When my children are successful, that is my salary. That is my income. And I want to beg a lot of us women, let's share our ideas. Let's support women. Let's encourage women. Don't keep your success to yourself. Say it out there, how you've done it. It was a tough journey. It was not easy, but I did it through prayers, through support from here, through support from there. You can go here and get money. You can do this and speak to this person. It always helps. And when Efo says that she has 80% of her clients as men, it's because men are always ready to share what they're going through. They're always ready to ask for support. But we women, we're too caged to let loose.
Exactly.
And be out there. Thank you.
Yes.
You know what? Okay, continue.
Sorry, Ivy.
Okay.
You know, like I said, 85% of my clients are men. And what I've also, realized over time is that, just like Fumi said, we women, we don't tell ourselves the truth. We do not tell ourselves the truth. Instead, we are competing. Unhealthy competition. Unhealthy competition. We do not, I don't understand. I don't know whether it is in this part of the world. I don't know what happens abroad, with other cultures, races. But in Nigeria, we just don't tell ourselves the truth. Same thing with children. We don't tell ourselves the truth. You see somebody moving a child from one school to another. What is wrong with the school? Meanwhile, it is when I studied education and I have a lot of friends who run schools. And when they tell moms, they started calling dads for PTA, for open day. Because when you tell the moms, they take it personal. They withdraw the child from the school. But the men are always rational. They calm down, they listen. So I don't know whether it is something to do with Nigerian women or the women race, but in this part of the world, the humble experience I've had, we find it extremely difficult, not just to open up, but to tell ourselves the truth.
Can I say something at this point? I want to answer Efo's reaction. It cuts across all climes. I think it's a societal problem that has been thrusted on women, that we can't trust one another, that we're in competition with one another. So a lot of girls were raised not to believe that another woman's got your back. So I think that's one of the reasons that is responsible for women not sharing. When you want to, they only feel comfortable sharing their success stories, not the challenges that they went through to be able to get there. Meanwhile, it's the challenges that you went through to get there that can only be of help to the person listening to you. That's actually the essence of mentorship. Now, to the initial question that you asked, the lady who said she had suspended her life or career, I would like to say is opportunity cost. At some point in life, you must pick something over and above the other. So for you to have chosen to raise your children first before developing your career, realizing yourself, developing yourself, moving on in life, please be certain, and let us reiterate it to you tonight, that you made a very good and viable choice. You had the best of investments earlier on. Your investment on your children is one of the best you can ever get the highest ROI on ever in life. That's one area of investment that you've got the best, highest, and the most rewarding yields in life. Yorubas will say, that your children are your husbands. And these are husbands that will be there for you throughout life, throughout your lifetime. God forbid that your children would turn their backs on you. God forbid. It hardly ever happens. But for you to have invested your life, your time in raising them properly, getting them very grounded, I bet you, when they start to love up on you and lavish you with stuff, you'll wonder that, did you just discover God? Has God just opened a book of remembrance for you? It's the best investment you could have ever made in your life. You made the best decision of your life to raise your children first. Now, to the second part of the question, which was you're just starting your own career journey. This is the best time for you to start, because you have been able to set the pace that you can go at your own pace. You can dictate how you want to move and where you want to move to. And you're going to have all the support structure, because remember, you've sown a seed into your children's lives. They're now all going to sprawl out as your support structure. So you're going to have a strut, a beautiful strut through your career life. So I want to encourage that person to be expectant, open up your heart, and go forth and blossom as the beautiful woman that you are. I believe it was a woman who asked that question.
Oh, yes.
Tonya, Tonya wanted to say something. Thank you, Folake. Tonya wanted to say something.
Yeah, not anymore. But thank you. Folake said it. I was going to argue, or I was going to speak about mainly the thing about women not telling each other the truth. But Falake's point about us being raised, as it were, to fear vulnerability, or to not expect other people to have our backs, or other women to have our backs, is very key. So the end, really, I have nothing else to say.
Okay, thank you very much. So I have this question. I have a few questions. I think that it will be nice for us to answer those questions, even though time is, fast spent. But again, I really appreciate you saying self-discovery is paramount. We live in a world where, rather than introspect and seek God's direction, we look to model success stories. I feel this is what often traps so many women. We are all fashioned differently and have different roads to tread. That is very true. Thank you. And there's another question here. What happens when life throws a curveball that causes you to question who you thought you knew about yourself?
Can I jump in there? Because I've had that experience where I've had to stop and think about whether I am who I thought I am. Things happen. That's just life. And I think it's healthy for us to question every so often whether we are who we think we are. Because sometimes we end up, not on purpose, but sometimes we end up veering off or veering down a path that may not be ours necessarily. And, you're defining yourself, or you may be defining yourself by values that you held 200 years ago, and your values have changed because you have grown as an individual. You have learned new things, you've had new experiences. So when things happen, it's always a great time. And even when things have not happened, I think it's always a good thing for us to sit back and take stock of who we are, who we present ourselves as versus who we actually are on the inside. And make sure that there are synergies between the person that people see from the outside and the person that we are on the inside. Because that, I forget who made the point about credibility and integrity, that is integrity. Your inside self and your outside self being the same person. And when you have to make that question, when you have to ask yourself that question or those questions about who you are, and you have to, then it's healthy if you can respond and say, okay, this has made me think slightly differently about myself and my personality. What does that mean? If I don't like the person that I see and the values that I now demonstrate, then it's time for me to take a step back and make sure that my values align to what I think that they should be.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I hope, Falaka, do you have anything to contribute to that? Okay. Now, I have a question here. Somebody says, how do you take steps to achieve your personal dreams when you have many dependents without being self-centered? I think that's a very important question.
Can I say something there?
Yeah.
I feel a lot of us, maybe I should say Yorubas or Nigerians generally, we only have a lot of dependence. But you know, there's an adage that says, teach people how to fish, don't give them fish to eat. So in your progression in life, drag people along rather than let them continue to feed on you. There might be younger people. I tell my kids and their friends that I wish we had the kind of entrepreneurship skills and mindset that they have right now when we were growing up. Mm-hmm. Everybody now, as young as a 5-year-old, 6-year-old, 7-year-old, 10-year-old, till whatever age, everybody's thinking of what business I can do to make money. So we need to encourage them. I encourage my kids, I encourage my nieces and nephews, no matter how young they are, to do something. Even I would encourage them to the point that I would tell them during holidays, do it and give it to your uncles and let them pay for it. That's your holiday money. So in terms of having to strive, having dependence on you, you need to balance it and make sure that whatever you're doing, always make sure you don't let the burden of other people draw you back. That's just the way I say it.
Wow. Don't let the, very good. I have this question here. Fumi, thank you very much for that. Someone says, women don't support women. It's a big issue amongst us. What exactly is responsible for this? That's why we are yet to move far. What do you think?
Well, you know, who answered, who said, was it Folake? Yes, I think Folake said that it's our upbringing, something about our upbringing. We're not trained to, honestly, I beg to disagree.
Okay.
Why are the men like that? I mean, the same parents trained us. The same parents trained us. So why are we like that? I wasn't trained like that. I wasn't trained not to be open with another woman at all. But that is not the point. The point is, I think it starts with knowing yourself, self-discovery, then your values. What are your values? What are your values? Values are something that you hold fundamentally important. Without it, you may not be able to exist. You know, that's the whole, that is in the state of being, B-E-I-N-G, in the state of being. That's what makes you a human being. Values are very, very fundamental. Now, values can be, you can develop them, you can reframe them, you can redirect them. But my point is, it starts with you. with the individual. As women, maybe Nigerian women, I think our values are a bit, they're fleeting, they're fleeting values. They're acquired. They're acquired. It still boils down to not being yourself, or living off what people's expectations about you are, not having your own customized, innate expectations of yourself. And then in this day and era of social media, a lot of, well, I don't know whether it's a generational thing, but a lot of the younger ones, they live, they believe, they sleep, they wake the social media. It's what they see. So then also women are very, we are very vulnerable. Naturally, we are very vulnerable. But like Tonya said, we do not make ourselves vulnerable in the positive way. We make ourselves vulnerable to please the society. To please the society. So and when I say society, I'm not talking about the external party, even our family. Just like the question somebody asked, like how do I make progress when I have so many dependents on me? That is because you believe that you have to take care of all of them. And we also have to learning how to teach your loved ones, a friend, how to fish is the beginning of being open, of being truthful, of being sincere. So until we learn, first of all, to understand ourselves, to discover ourselves, to appreciate ourselves, to count our blessings, to have confidence in what we have, who we are, where we are, then we can now be open, genuinely open and truthful with one another. So it has to start from each and every woman in Nigeria.
So what I'm hearing you say is that unless we are secure in ourselves and our identity, we cannot be vulnerable and open with one another. That's what you're saying.
That's what I think.
Fantastic. Now, let me just take, Falake, thank you so much for FO. Thank you so much for this contribution. And Tony, you've said it quite aptly. And someone says here, one way women can support women is by unlearning some behaviors, learn new and positive skills, and relearn as time goes by. And our time is fast spent, but let me just read something someone said here. It says, a very robust conversation coming at a time when women need to rethink and reorder their lives, especially in Nigeria. 2023 is so near. Get your PVC to be part of the electoral process. Need to go. Well done, discussants. Thank you. So that's about politics. Another one says, women must learn to focus on legacy and posterity. Then and only then can they be a gift to everyone. Now, just quickly, I have two more questions, but let's just run it up quickly. So what does worth mean to you?
What does what?
Worth.
Mean to you?
Value.
Value. Yeah?
Value.
Yeah. Importance.
How you perceive
I'll say
yourself.
essence.
Yes, essence. So it has different meanings, and like not the way success is. What is your worth? What are you worth? It's value. It's what. How do you see yourself? How do you perceive yourself? How do you make yourself feel? And it's so amazing. I don't know whether I should say this, but women went out and went to National Assembly on Thursday or Wednesday, and they were fighting. And to be honest with you, nobody knew about the bill they were trying to pass or anything. The advocacy wasn't there. So we women always try to fight a battle that we could have won because of lack of ignorance. But we're always very ignorant of things. We always, it's like cold medicine after death. So we don't know our worth. Women, I will tell you, I want to put that belief that we women, we don't know our worth, we don't know our value. We're so powerful, but we don't know how to place ourselves. And like we said, we need to work as a team, we need to work as one, and we need to see ourselves, like the theme of the International Women's Day for this year, unbiased minds. Let's all be together. Don't see Mr. A as a threat, don't see Mrs. B as a threat. Let's go with one voice and stand together, and we can achieve a lot, and we'll be worth it. Thank you.
Fantastic.
Let me quickly take it up from where Fumi left it. Again, I'll take us back to society, societal expectations, the beliefs that we've all been taught. We need to go and deconstruct all that. And like Efo said, personally reconstruct our minds and hold one another on that journey to success. And you see, she said it all. Women usually would fight battles that are needless. Needless. If only we had been aware of those bills, we would have made representation at the House of Representatives and the Senate, and those bills would have been quashed or amended to suit our purposes. So we only, again, lack of education is part of it. Secondly, a lot of us don't even bother about our neighbors. Everyone is running that rat race. How am I going to feed? How am I going to be better than this person? How am I going to be able to be like this person? So we need to go back and deconstruct those societal teachings and norms that we picked up over time, and then relearn whilst discovering ourselves that we need to work as a team, just as the men have worked over the centuries. And then we can have, I tell you, if women team up, even in just this Africa alone, we would have at least 180-degree change in Africa. And so, like they say, the woman is the beacon of light in the society. This little light that we have lit this evening, let it go across Nigeria and let that change start. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Now, before I don't want to leave without saying this. Ethel, if somebody wants to contact you, how would they contact you?
Oh, social media.
I'm even going to leave your email.
Yes.
Your email. Whatever,
okay.
Yeah?
Do you want me to put it? Do you want us to put it in the chat box?
Okay, put it in the chat box while
Okay.
And Fumi, you have your business. Fumi. Okay. Now let me just quickly read this before Let me quickly read this before somebody wrote something. It says, I'm glad I joined this conversation. May you be used as vessels to re-educate the future. May your light be seen by others in the dark by helping bring refreshing among male folks. Awesome, ladies. Thank you. So among few folks. Now, if this is your first time of being here, of joining me today, my name is Ibinabo Enebi, and I have a YouTube channel called Ibinabo Enebi. I would like you to kindly, when you finish watching this thing, I'd like you to kindly go to my YouTube channel, Ibinabo Enebi, and quickly just subscribe and show some support. And then next week, I am going to have another guest, and we're going to talk about coping with the loss of a child. On the this month in the part of the world where I live, we're going to celebrate Women's Day, Mother's Day, and some mothers have lost children, and we don't always talk about that. So we want to talk about how is it that you coped, and how is my guest is going to share her experience and how she coped. And Fumi, if you're there, I wanted to say, you have a micro lending company. I wanted you to tell us how women can access your services. But any final words?
Okay, thank you.
Final words?
Yes, my micro lending company is for the low end of the market, which are the people that are actually unbanked, and I will say underbanked. So can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I can.
Oh, okay. So it's for people that are at the low end of the market that usually don't have access to loans from the commercial banks and the big banks. So what we do is we give them financial literacy, teaching them how to understand what it is to do accounting. So when you take loan from us, we give you like a booklet to tell you how do you do your sales, your receivables, and then your profits at the end of the day. So basically, the people we are focusing on are the people that are earning their business is about 20,000 naira. So we're trying to support them. So we give them up to about 50,000 naira to do your business, and you pay back over a period of time. And we put them in clusters to encourage them so they can all be together. So that's what we do. And we're working in markets, in small markets, and in any location. Thank you.
Fantastic. And Toye, do you have any final words?
I think that this conversation would not be complete if we didn't talk about the generations of women coming behind us. There is something about being intentional, about teaching our daughters to believe in themselves, to be free in themselves, to trust, and to learn to love freely. I think for me, one of the biggest things, I have 3 daughters and a son. One of the biggest things for me in watching my girls grow is how fiercely they defend their boundaries. My girls will not hear anything about anyone touching their boundaries. And I think that goes a long way to helping them stay free from all sorts of abuse, And I think that as mothers, aunts, coaches, mentors, whatever, we will all have young women in our lives. And it's really important for us to equip them. That's what I've got.
Thank you very much. So let me just read this before I go. Amazing time it's been today. Big ups, Auntie IB, and thanks to all the amazing mommies for giving so much value tonight. Looking forward to next week. And ladies, I just want to say thank you. And it's been a very eventful night and very valuable conversation. Let me see. Listen, an hour. We're an hour. An hour over. So I just want to say thank you so much. And next week is another day. And girls, I'm going to call you. Thank you. And thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for staying on. And quite a few. Most of us stayed on. So I really appreciate you for staying on. Thank you very much. And bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you,
everyone.
Okay, bye-bye. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Nice meeting you
Bye-bye.
all. Yes, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Chat, yeah?